And once again, we are back with Think Fitness Life podcast. And before we get started on news, just want to remind people that it's getting cold out now. Daylight savings changing a little bit, and it's getting darker earlier. So watch those vitamin D levels.
Well, definitely for sure. Especially if you're out where I am. I don't know. Does that really affect out there? You guys in Utah?
No,
The
I'm used to the sun setting around 8:39,
yeah,
sometimes 9:30, and then it'll back up to about 6 or 5:30 some days. But not like Boston. It was bad. Getting up and going to work and it was dark, and leaving work and it was dark, and man, I didn't see the sun enough, and I definitely let my vitamin D levels dip, and it really makes a difference in even just like my sleep, mood, energy level at the gym, my workout, the kind of the absorption of nutrients after the workout, and the way my body adapts to the things I'm doing. So definitely, definitely a key vitamin, and some doctors will even say and classify it as a hormone because that's important.
yeah, and especially if it affects people a lot. I think those people have to be more aware of those times when nothing's really changing. We're just changing the clocks an hour, so people try to readjust their rhythms. And probably knowing from reading a lot and experiences, circadian rhythms are a little temperamental. So if all of a sudden you're expecting, oh, I get this, but I'm going to sleep until this daylight, your body might not be ready for that exact change. And we fluctuate that twice a year. So I always tell people kind of try to stay on that same clock, get the sleep,
Yeah,
get your extra nutrients you're going to need at this time of year because it's going to be less light. And when you can, get out, get hopefully it's nice weather where you can wear some short sleeves, get some skin exposed. It's huge.
yep, definitely. Just want to remind people that's the news. I think Fitness Life, your in-house news, and Eric has some other news that's been released pretty
Yeah.
recently. I want to highlight, and then we're gonna get into talking about personal training as personal growth and kind of the awareness and development that a personal trainer should
Right. And
be
that's the big thing.
providing for
So,
somebody.
in the news, question of the day: can excessive athletic training make your brain tired? New study says yes. So, the study went over the phenomenon of overtraining. And we've heard this, I've probably definitely done this in my career, is overtraining or overreaching. When a person is excessively going over the
Yep.
amount of volume, intensity, capacity, or any increase of training that is overload for the body, consistent in duration, and too long. Studies have shown that the brain does have cognitive decline. Now it's not permanent, but it's more acute. So if you're excessively working out and your energy is drained, you're going to see different decisions, different outputs, different emotions towards certain things because in this article that we can link in the show notes, it said that the prefrontal cortex actually can be affected by this overstressing because you're not only stressing the body, but you're stressing the brain, and that's a huge aspect of training. And they did a, in the study they increased the training by 40% per session over a 3 week period. So, and this is for cycling. That's a pretty big increase of training, 40% per session over 3 weeks. So if you're doing, 100 reps a session or 100 sprints, you're adding 40% to that. That's a lot.
Yeah, and you know what it makes me think of is how they've shown in a lot of studies the um, the the detrimental effects from training in
Yes.
like your medium zones, like zone 3 and 4, and not training in zone 2 or training in zone 6. Um, and it causes damage little by little, and it just kind of adds up over time. And it ends up being a negative stress on the body, but it seems to be where most people actually train in. And I remember you and I talking about this, about how people could come in, not exercise frequently at all, start exercising in these high intensity group classes, um, every day, and
Correct.
actually gain weight. And that was not everybody was like that. It was more rare scenarios, but it was interesting to see that actually play out. And yeah, so they always say it's important to improve your floor, like your zone 2, but also test your ceiling and in your sprints and your max zone level. So I would see that study causing
Hmm.
the individuals to be in
Oh yeah.
those bad
And
zones anyway.
I don't think
You know
this
what
is
I mean?
anything. I mean, yes, it's a new
So
article, and I think the research is pretty cool. How they, they chose a certain percentage to increase performance, and just kind of go back. It actually in the brains of the overtrained athletes, it showed diminished activation of the lateral prefrontal cortex, which is the key region of executive control systems. So economic choices were made a little bit different. They were favoring immediate over delay rewards. So reward systems changed, and that shows how certain outcomes can be that. Now, there's certain times where I think people need to do a little overtraining, but there's also the important role of this is you can't, if something's good, more of it's not always better. So in our world of exercise, people think, okay, if I've done 100 squats, 200 squats must be better than 300, which you could make a case that they could be. But at what point is this phenomenon taking over? And now you're not letting your brain regroup. You're not getting the proper rest, recovery that you need to do that next workout. And that's all this article is showing. And I think it's really good. And what you just brought up is how do we get this out to people who maybe are in these group X classes or in these fitness groups or these CrossFit groups that are just burning this system, and the amount of overload is too much for them. So how do we kind of reach out and bring them back and say, okay, you have to learn to go high, medium, lower days and get adequate rest in between. You can't be just hitting this same class every single day. And I think for us, that's
I
where,
think people just burn themselves out until
right,
they learn the hard way.
yeah,
Unfortunately,
which is tough because then they never see their goals. And I think that's the beauty of being one-on-one coached and having a trainer is you're going to get this single attention and you're going to get this knowledge that you might not know. And I know a lot of people, they like the exercise community. I'm not bagging on group X classes. I just think that, they're there for a tough workout. That's what this group X class is going to be.
I love honestly, I
Oh yeah,
love group classes, and I want to bring
absolutely. I
Riddick
teach
on
some for
here.
myself. But the biggest
Yeah,
thing is in them. I'm always, you still got to remind these people you can't be doing this every day.
well, that's the thing is I do
Yes.
want to talk about kind of the drawbacks of it, but I think we should get Riddick on here because he has like 300 people that he has mobile, and that's great. You know what I mean? That's so fucking awesome. That's like one of the hardest parts is getting people to overcome all their doubt, all their negativity or overthinking, lack of execution, and just getting up and going and just starting
Yeah.
somewhere and just doing. So it has a great impact and a great starting point, but there obviously are its drawbacks, and that's why. But we'll get Riddick on here for that podcast. That'll be fun. But we're just gonna talk about the highlights of why a personal trainer will help in personal growth for um, pretty much any type of aspect that that someone's really looking for in terms of kind of strength or um, just routine or freedom of their health choices and dietary information and guidance and just assistance is really what the job of a personal trainer is, and to advise or to guide you along the way. And I think one of the first things I talk about with everybody who's interested in personal training, or kind of when someone asks me why would someone get a personal trainer, is progression and regression. That's kind of the our bread and butter, is being able to help somebody and work with them and understand what will be the steps they need to make progress, and when that time is appropriate, and when it's the time is appropriate for them to take a step back and regress something and learn something more at the fundamentals. So it's kind of fun, honestly.
That is, those two words are probably the one of the big basis of how we do our jobs. Got to know when to push forward. And with my news, I'll kind of stay. I think most people who maybe aren't doing Group X or could be, I think most people are under that threshold of overtraining. Some people, I get people and people I see,
I agree.
they need more progression or progressive training, which is adding more intensity, more volume, and that. I think that's fine. And then the other side is the regression. Okay, when to come back, but it's not always about volume. Like you can progress in certain exercises. You can regress in certain ones that might be difficult. That is
Well,
just
that's
such a
the thing
balance
is,
for every category of things that a trainer uses as a tool. Okay, do I regress this for this day or do I progress that? It's always interchangeable. And I think that is a big thing that people should know. And regression is just taking stuff away. So if you're doing high volume for 3 or 4 weeks, all right, we're going to progress to heavier weights, but we're going to regress the volume. So you might drop down to 10 reps, but we add the weight. So that's always a back and forth that is just a staple to our job.
yeah, I think a lot of people just don't um, think of all the different ways that they can progress it, rather than just trying to hammer home more weight or more reps, and then you just get law of diminishing returns anyway. But yeah, I would say that was probably the most important, and that's going to be kind of the um, underlying theme of your whole experience with a personal trainer, because you should be working towards something and understand why you're doing something, because it usually all does connect to these basic movement patterns, to compound lifts and primal movement patterns, to your athletic functional movement patterns in a sports setting. So um, you should kind of be seeing that every, not maybe every day, but every week and every month, kind of understanding your progression regression, what you've been working on and what you maybe need to, for the next program, start thinking about a way to break it down and get better at it first before you move on to higher volume or higher weights, and then see what is no longer challenging and how to make that challenging again.
And that's important. I think the biggest thing that stuck out when you said that is understanding, have the person, if you're a client, one of my clients, understand why they're doing something. I think personal training kind of gets this bad rap of, okay, you're going to show up. He's just going to tell you what to do.
And we're
Yeah.
gonna like count
And
and
that's it,
yeah.
which, I can't say for everyone. I hope they're like us and intuitive and paying attention, but there are some trainers out there that might be like that. But
Well, and honestly, there's also people that just have the days that they are super involved and can have the headspace and mental energies that they can understand everything that's going on, and other days where it's like, like I gotta be out, like I have a hard stop at 11 today, like we gotta just
yeah,
go,
and
and yeah,
and that's on
you
our
know what I
part to
mean. So
discern the days, and I think we should definitely get there.
yeah,
Um,
exactly, and adapt. It's a
but
good
just
point too.
having the client know that what they're doing is going to pertain to what they need. So the biggest part of personal training is the personal, the aspect of you're getting that personal program attention that we're focused in
Should
on
make
what you
sense to
want
you,
and what you need. So yes,
right?
you have needs, or the person have needs, but there's also what we see as, okay, we need to fix this, and I need this person to be able to have hamstrings so they can squat, and you're getting that one on one.
But that's why it's going to be best if you're treating it like you're saying as going somewhere with it. Like you have a sort of a growth outlook to it, and that's kind of allows it to have a direction. Because if it's almost harder when someone has no goals whatsoever, because when you end up making something that's for everything. And I love the line of, when something's for everything, it's for nothing. And it's not that it's not for nothing, but it's just that if there was a more specified um, concern or goal or desire, then it actually makes programming for it easier.
Take the latter. I mean, even with someone who doesn't really have goals, that's a challenge on all our part. Which at first I was like, I don't. What do I do now? I as you gain experience, and this comes with as you grow. You start to realize, okay, this person doesn't really know what they want, but they're here because they know it's healthy. So then it's on us, the trainer, to make sure that they understand why this rep scheme is healthy for them, why this energy system development is healthy for them, and how they can compile this all together so when they go back and sit at a desk or have their normal life, they're they're going to be able to live and feel good. Now, some people don't really care,
Yeah.
but other times, if you get through it enough and you can kind of give them a small sense of understanding, they're kind of like, okay, it puts that thought in their head, and then they start thinking, because we know that we're doing this to make people healthier, to prevent disease, to prevent injuries. We can do that. Those are people's like base goals that I need them to be. We just have to teach that to them, and then I think people start getting better goals once they're more comfortable.
And, and I think we do need to mention too that, like, progression regression can also mean literally coming in, because you made a good point. And it can literally mean coming in and being like, I have no time for working out. I have these 3 hours a week. Like, help me figure out how I can get my health back on track with the 3 hours I have in my busy schedule. And that can be like the first step. And then get a progress is literally being able to answer a question like, how did you sleep last night, without thinking for a few minutes. Just building that awareness is progression alone, and making the steps towards taking care of yourself and improving your health and your quality of life, and is really the point of it all. So progression regression is super specific to the individual, and that's probably going to be a common theme for an episode about personal training and personal growth. But
100%. I mean,
um,
it's going to be like widespread throughout this episode because it,
right, and then it's going to get
it's
super
kind of like
complicated all the way down to when you should program for percentages and different volume at that point, and strength days and power days and conjugate work and stuff, all that. So we can talk about progression regression all
but
day. So I
essentially
think we
that's what we
should.
do. We're we're there to
Right. But
progressively overload
we
someone.
should also talk about the other aspects that comes to an individual's awareness along their
No,
personal
yeah,
training
that's where I'm
or
going
personal
with it.
growth path.
So
All
so
right, all right.
not talking about the weights, but like progressively overloading someone's whatever. Yeah, they're coming there to work out. We add increased reps, weights, but also progressively overload their thinking. So we're basically
Okay,
how I look at it as when they come in, yeah, their workout, but I'm a teacher. I have to teach them about
there we
biomechanics,
go.
metabolism, nutrition, human exercise physiology. Like that's what my role is. And it might not all be in one day, but someone might come in and be like have this burning question about, why they felt like this or why this is tight. And we're now into a biomechanics lesson that is going to hopefully they learn something, but then show, okay, I'm not here to just tell you what to do. I'm here to like help you understand how your body works, how you can figure it out when I'm not there and at home. And I think that's a big role that a lot of trainers sometimes miss, or people don't might not get out of their trainers, is we should be consistently learning new techniques, new research, and progressing so we can give the best quality to our clients and the clients so they can learn.
Yeah, that's a really good important growth tool to know how to get better at a lift or a movement pattern. And then I love kind of what Gray Cook says is just movement is the basis of all exercise. And yeah, I think you definitely have a better eye for seeing a lot of that stuff, being with your PRI cert and all that stuff because you know a lot about the breathing and the way the thorax is moving and where air is moving when your core is rotating, and that's interesting because this is why we continue to bring good um, topics together because that is a side I didn't really bring up when I listed kind of the my little topic points for today. And mine are more on the side of building mindfulness in people and creating kind of a lifestyle um, thought process and asking them like when I first see them Monday, right? How did you eat over the weekend? How was your weekend? Did you do anything for exercise over the weekend? How'd you sleep this weekend? How'd you sleep last night? What's your stress level right now? What's your week look like ahead? Things like that start to paint the picture of where they're at mentally to see kind of where I can start the Monday workout off on, and whether or not you know we gotta worry about inhibition techniques or longer warm up or switch it up, call an audible and make it like a circuit because we got to get out 15 minutes early or something like that. But yeah, so it's funny because um, I can totally see how you would just really be able to kind of educate someone on the body and their mechanics and why an area is tight or causing discomfort or an issue.
And that's where all of this, like your mind and my thoughts, kind of meld together and get integrated. Because say someone doesn't need that and they're the 15 minutes I got to get going soon. Well, now your role as a trainer is there to provide them what they need in the time that they have there. And it's not one of those.
Totally. We
Right.
have to be
So,
adaptable.
and it's
Totally.
I for people that maybe aren't used to this working out or kind of program for themselves, I think that can be very tough. And sometimes when a person comes in, they're like, "Hey, I only have 40 minutes and you have this whole elaborate program." You gotta have to be like, "Let me figure this out on the fly, put together so this can get done efficiently." And So the funny thing is, this happened to me today. It was a client. They texted me, "Hey, I'm running late." By the time they showed up, maybe we had 38 minutes. So you take stuff, you move it, you make trisets, you make more circuits, you blend it together, and at the end, he goes, "That's the most efficient 40 minutes I think I've ever had to." And it goes to show. I mean, there's not a lot of
Nice.
talking. It's back and forth, very minimal.
You working.
So we
You
play
get
a lot of
working.
these roles of today's not the
Yeah.
teacher. Today's like, hey, we gotta go. We gotta push. This is why you hired me. So I'm just gonna literally figure it out on the fly what we're gonna do to give you the best workout pertaining to your goals, what you need today. And I think that's where like your side of it comes in great. It's like you don't know what
Yeah.
you're gonna get
And sometimes
Monday
I don't even
morning
get
for
to
a
those
person.
questions,
You
but
never
usually
know.
I have everybody start with a 3 minute jog just to like guarantee the aerobic system's on, and they're like stuck. You know what I mean? So they can't go anywhere. And it's on the dynamic treadmill, and I'll like watch them. I'm like, hey, let's keep it above
Right.
700 watts. But yeah, so I'll get most of these questions in, but I'll get an idea right away of like, oh, okay, we got to go, and then I'll probably go and just set up and be like, all right, well, when you get off the treadmill, when you get off the treadmill, come down and da,
Yeah.
da, da. So I think that's a really good point. Is adaptability
Now, if you don't get those
totally,
questions,
and I think that's going to be an important tool that your trainer should have, but it's not going to help necessarily with your personal growth. Although you should take it as another piece of progress that you look at. Is okay. Well,
learn from it.
I used to come in for every workout 5 minutes late. Now I'm coming into every workout on time, and I've only had to leave like twice, once a month now or something. So little things like that, little wins like that, allow you to get your health back, get your life back, get the things in place in your life that make you feel good and tranquil. It's a good word.
Now, now, when you have them on here's a question for you. When you have them on the treadmill, say you haven't asked them the questions or anything, can you kind of tell what kind of mood they're in or where their training might go for the day?
I mean, kind of, but I don't try. I try not to like look at that or judge it. I just kind of walk up and just kind of bring positive energy to the situation, no matter what, like relentlessly. And sometimes it will wade over anything that they're struggling with personally. Sometimes we address it. Sometimes there's nothing you can do.
Or more or less, what about just their like when if you notice their what would you say for RPMs or
I mean,
what are you
I
measuring?
wasn't. I don't actually tell them 700 watts. It's that would have
Gotcha.
been. Actually, no. On the dynamic treadmill, that actually probably is a good jog. But
Yeah. So sometimes I think as trainers and clients probably don't even know this or realize this. We look at that and okay, we say 700, and yeah, I know they heard me, but they're not keeping that pace. Or I'm saying
okay,
70% on a fan bike, and they're not hitting
so
it. For us, it's kind of like this. Okay, I'm telling them to do this. They're not getting there. I'm just going to keep this as a thought in my head. Maybe I don't. I haven't talked to them yet, but something's telling me that they might not be 100% today.
that's true. I agree
And
with that. And then here's another piece that is important for a personal trainer to help with an individual along this process is they should be aiding in visualizing their workout maybe for the week for the month. We do that with our little calendar so they know the month, they know what the weekly routine's like. And i think I see this less of people kind of giving an idea of how the circuit's going to go and what they're expecting out of the individual. And sometimes there's a miscommunication there, and that just needs to be clarified. Like it's like, hey, these are going to be heavy, slower reps. Take your time. Over here, this is going to be as fast as you can, and then this one you're going to gas out, and I want you to max out over here. So I just feel like that helps facilitate that type of what's the word I'm looking for? Compliancy, to get people to do what you're wanting them. Because other times I look back and I'm like, oh, I didn't really necessarily explain, differentiate how I wanted that to look, and then I'll just fix it for the second set. But I think it's important for an individual to get better at learning, because they're going to know kind of the same reason why they're doing a progressed movement pattern to get better at a squat or deadlift. They know the application, so they're going to know why they're doing a certain exercise, or why they're doing something fast, or why they're trying to spike their heart rate, and that's going to aid in them getting the results out of it, honestly, and just getting better at the next time they want to do it again. So visualizing, I think that's a really important tool.
Results is the name of the game for people. I think, well, when a lot of people come in,
results driven,
right?
Or, like, you got to be
driven,
do things with intent,
and that's another perk that, no, I wouldn't say perk. That's another thing that you're gonna get when you're working with a trainer is, unlike a Group X class, unlike any sort of program you've read in a magazine or something, you're going to get a custom program designed to meet your needs. And hopefully, if you're staying with it, the program's going to change, because a lot of times people don't get that exercise isn't this one thing that just got to stay. A lot of things in this world, you read a book, you retain the information, awesome. You do other stuff once, you learn it, it's good. You can keep repeating that. You can eat spinach every single day, a cup of it. It's all healthy. Workout's one of those things where you have to continuously, here comes, progress. Like, you have to keep changing variables to get an effect, because the body's miraculous at trying to adapt, create a new level of balance in the body. And then what do you have to do again to change that?
Well, it's funny because we talk about, here's the other word, growth, growth mindset over fixed mindset, and you kind of see a lot of personality types of people who have a lot on their plate, have a lot going on, and they're trying to think of like wallpaper falling down in a room, and you're trying to catch it on all corners and push it all back up, and to give it enough time to dry, but then run over to the next one, and they're just kind of running around trying to stabilize all their habits and their things they need to do in their life and responsibilities and whatnot. And it's that they start somewhere, and it's just easier for them to just kind of have something to stamp out and get up and go and do at this time, this place, just show up, blood, sweat, and tears, just get through it. And I think that's a great start. But I think the reason why someone gets a personal trainer is because they reach a point where that hasn't gotten them enough changes that they want from themselves, or it hasn't led them to a new level, because it should be challenging you. If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. And that's the whole idea of homeostasis, holding us at this level that it's used to. And then, your allosteric response of testing that and stressing that, and, pushing your limits, making progress. And that's what makes a personal trainer really beneficial in that journey, when you've already gotten up and gotten moving and gotten used to blood, sweat, and tears, and working out in the rain and stuff like that, and giving it your all and feeling your muscles burn. And then you're looking for better dietary advice, better habits, better goal-oriented training, better catered to workouts, better attention, better accountability. These are the things that they provide you, but they're tools, and that's kind of what really wanted to make important for this episode and highlight is that these are just tools. Like I think for the most part, people should be looking at personal training as a way, as a guide, as a way to get better at
Yeah,
taking care of
and
themselves.
I think that's a huge role that people should get out of their trainers is getting that advice, getting the tips, getting the information. As a client coming in, you kind of have to ask like yourself, what do you want to get out of your trainer in your session? Pick their brain.
Yeah, and you're always really good at connecting the dots, like doing something from all the way from the ground up, like stages of development style, like on as a baby, and then on your side, and then quadruped, and then half kneeling, and then standing, and you were always really good at connecting the dots like that. So it's really cool to hear this episode with you and hear more of the physical, like it's like you're like a transformer looking at the body and your brain's breaking it down mechanically how it's all moving and stuff. And I'm looking at more of like how the mind's
The best part
operating
is
the
they go hand in
individual.
hand.
So
I
it's
mean,
pretty
you can't
fun.
have one without the other. But
They
like
do.
you were
Oh,
saying, even
totally.
about the longevity having a trainer, a lot of times I see people who can't afford a trainer or they can't afford to work with me consistently every week. I say that's not a problem. You know, it becomes a thing where trainers, especially me, I'm sure you, we've gone over this. Like we want to help people. We want to educate the world and help them just be better. Yeah, we still have to make a living from it, but if we can change more people and help more people, even though they don't work with me, it's still a win because eventually they're going to come back and ask a question, or eventually they're going to be like, hey, I think I'm going to do a couple sessions with you because I want to learn more. So even if I know when this person says, hey, we're not going to train, I'm still going to give them every bit of information that they need to be successful in this gym without me working with them. And yes, it's only going to go so far. They're only going to get so much out of
Yeah.
it. That's why the and that's why it's consistently
Yeah. That's
of
why we're gonna
reading
make.
magazines, reading, getting different programs from offline, talking to other people, doing doing sessions, or just going back and talking to your trainer with some advice. I mean, it's helped you. It will help you all along.
I think you said a good one. Talking to other people and talking to the right people because I understand it can be intimidating talking to somebody about something that you might not know as much about. I mean, that's really what it comes down to is people want to talk to somebody that's easy to talk to at the gym, like the other person who's working out next to them, and they'll get advice from them and training tips from them, and it just doesn't make the most amount of sense. Um, it's like um, the whole one-on-one aspect of the whole personal training, like the face-to-face time of somebody, talking to somebody, reaching out to somebody, that goes a long way to getting directed appropriately because I even hesitate to bring up the news now because it's just like, well, it's just all like distraction, quite frankly. And it's like sometimes less is more. It's like just go home and uh, just stretch. Just let's start somewhere and get really good at somewhere first before you take your next step. And try not to take on too much all at once because then you're going to be trying to hold up the wallpaper in the room on all four walls, and you're going to end up with
Yeah,
no
and I
wallpaper
always
on any
say
wall.
I think I've made this mistake before, not in the personal training world, but if you want advice from, if you want to learn how to do something right, talk to an expert. So funny thing is, when I got into this whole archery realm, kind of side story, I tried to do it all myself, and then a couple weeks ago, I go in, and the guy just rips me a new one, like, and then it's like a humbling because I know that I should have went in to a professional, get professional help, get all set up. I would have been better off. And I think a lot of people might need that humbling moment. Or a lot of people, okay, what do I really need? Do I just want to ask someone, can I just do a session with you? Can you just sit down and talk with me about how I can go about getting my goals? I think that's a huge thing for anyone who's listening, or anyone in the world, is ask for help when you need it, especially in the fitness world. This world is confusing. Studies come out left and right, like you just said in the news. They try to confuse you, they try to lead you in different directions. There's always this, one side says this, one side says that. Talk to someone who's done the research and knows the science behind it. They will be able to 100% help you. And I think that's one of my favorite parts about the job is it asking people, hey, if you have any questions, let me know. And people come up and like, I have this burning question. Or I get emails from people that reach out saying, hey, I found you, you're into this. I have a question for you. Can you help me? I am all for taking help via email, via phone calls. It's what I do. And I think that's where a lot of people should start out,
Yeah,
is
that's why I want
asking
to.
help somewhere and see where it goes.
Yeah, and I really want people to reach out more. It's been nice to get some emails and get some surveys filled out, and we can't thank those individuals enough. But we would like to get more people reaching out, and we're working on. I don't like to talk about things. I just like to do things, but we are working on something that
Yeah.
we'll have
That'd
out
be
pretty soon here. But it is that easy. Like I it's fun being here now because I used to be so stuck mentally and unable to make steps forward. And it was really just me and my own perspective of kind of thinking how difficult it was. And it's really not. And it's just, it's fun when you meet people and have people reach out that just have a question or just need to be directed in the right way, or um, sometimes you just think of a really good article or you hear a good podcast and it clicks with a client that you had a conversation with that week or something, and it's just fun to help spread the word, I guess, and help
And
other
that's
people
what we've been
find
about
their
since
right
day
path.
one. It's great. And hopefully with
Yeah, think fitness life. Think about it. You gotta be mindful. You gotta be fit. You gotta
and
be
that's
healthy.
our,
Um,
we have
and
this
you
now.
should
Okay,
get your life
how can we help you
back.
guys more? How can we help out? So I think that one of the biggest things Matt talks about is what's up and coming is, personalized programs. Like, how can we better off our audience, our potential clients, or how can we help you better? That's what we want to know from you. And I think that's going to be great up and coming, so we can provide more to the people and we can outreach greater number than just having one-on-one. I mean, I love one-on-one. I do, but I want to be able to help.
Well, one-on-one in person versus one-on-one, like it would require, um,
Well,
like a
so to
phone
me, that's
call
still
or a
one-on-one.
video call or something.
100%.
But either
How
way,
do I reach
just
more people?
just like even even just systematically approaching the tasks and jobs that are unfilled, um, by most people's lives, that are they're just stuck with, or they're not being provided the right information, and then helping to get that information in like a survey with some questions, and then help direct if we can accordingly. Personal train, personal advise, health advise, and yeah, that's the basics of it. And
We want to be here for you
yeah,
guys. That's
so
the end. I think that's the best part of
basically,
being a trainer is not pushing people to do hard things. Yeah, I can do that. I do like doing that. I think people reciprocate. They're like, yeah, that was terrible, but thank you for doing that for me. It's also just helping them mindfully become better of this ever crazy spinning world that just keeps going. And this stuff, the fitness, the health, the mindfulness, that kind of starts taking back seats. How can we bring those to be more front seat for people's lives so they don't have to end up dealing with a bunch of crap later down the road?
yeah. And then um, we've talked about it in another episode, but you know, you're looking for personal growth out of your personal trainer. You should also kind of be mindful of, their to what level are they an artist versus an entrepreneur, and hopefully they're leaning more towards an artist. And when you should get a sense of feeling that and there's just like three little points I wanted to just throw in, but you should get a sense that they're observing you and kind of understanding your profile, so to speak, of kind of who you are and your movement patterns and injury history and things like that, limitations. And then you also want to be able to have someone who can be a human being, because I don't know, I just think that um, the ego can be the enemy and just cause,
We're the same person.
yeah, just cause
We
bad
deal with the same stuff.
issues.
Yeah, we might seem like robots, but we're dealing with the same stuff that we talk about. We've I'm still looking for the perfect program. I don't no one doesn't exist, but I think that's the beauty of it. You're always looking for something more. How do I write something better? We're just humans too. We just want to help you be better, like us.
Well, I even mean just people who try to avoid the
Well, yeah,
trainer who's
like just
pushing an
robotic.
agenda and
Yeah,
has a big ego to him. Yeah, because at the end of the day, they end up like holding their ego true to this one fact or perspective, and then everything that they do has built this bias around it. So just beware of something like that. Those are my three little tips for finding the right personal trainer and right fit for your own personal growth, and figuring it all out on your
we're
own
all on
journey.
the journey.
That was ephemeral enough for this episode. But all right, that wraps us up this week. See you next week.